right, this interview is with Joan Jensen, and what we'd like to ask you today is if you could share with us a couple of your end of life experiences that you have had with people that are close to you.
Well, yes, I'd be glad to do that. There is my father who passed away at the age of 90, and I was able to get there probably about 2 hours after he did pass away. But we were grateful he was able to pass away at home because he was happy in his own place, and he did not want to go to a hospital or ever, or didn't like going to doctors or anything like that. So we felt very grateful that he was able to pass away at home. But he had congestive heart failure for the year or two previous to that, and so we knew his life was coming to an end, but we were grateful that he was able to go that easily.
So how did he pass away?
He got up in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep, went out in his living room and sat in his big chair about 3 a.m. in the morning, put his head back, and he was gone.
Oh.
So, it was just a very easy passing, and that was a great blessing in his life. My mother had a harder time. She had Alzheimer's the last 2 years of her life, and very little quality of life there. She didn't know who she was or what she was doing from day to day. She talked a lot, but none of her conversations made any sense. So I and my sister spent a lot of time over there with her, and trying to get her to eat a little bit, trying to, provide a little bit of pleasure for her. And she knew we were somebody important, but she didn't know us. She didn't know who we were, what our names were, but she did know we were somebody important. And towards her end of life, I think it was brought on by a fall off of her bed and onto the floor, and they had to take her to the hospital for that. But that seemed to bring on, the final stages of her life. And when we knew it was about time for her to go, then all of her children gathered around her and visited with her. And the nurse would say, keep talking to her. She can hear you even though she can't respond to you. It's almost like she was in a semi-coma, but she said she can hear you. So we would talk to her, and we stayed with her for 3 or 4 hours, and till well after midnight. And then the nurse said, I think it'd be better if you leave. And so we did, and she passed away about an hour after we left. And it's not uncommon for a loved one. They don't want to go when you're there because they want to spend time with you, but they often pass away just after you've gone.
Oh, how interesting.
So, and my grandmother was a different situation, and I had always hoped that I could be there when she passed away. And she was in a care center, and it was her choice to be in a care center. And so when her life got towards the end, and we knew that she was going to go pretty soon, she actually did wait for me. I was teaching school at that time, and my mother had called about noon and said, it's getting very close, if you can come. So my principal let me go over there, and I was there sitting by her bed, holding her hand. I was only there about a half hour when she passed away. And I was grateful for that opportunity because I was very close to her, and it was a sweet passing for her. And she was holding my hand and had her eyes closed. She was not talking, but she could feel my hand, and I could feel her hand, and so it was a fairly easy passing for her in that way. And she was 99.
Very
when
nice.
She passed away.
One other question. Let's talk about Chris. Tell me a little bit about how she prepared to go and what her situation was and her age.
Well, she passed away at 47, but she was diagnosed when she was 45, 40. She lived 13 months, so I guess she must have been 46. She just turned 46. But she had such a positive attitude. She was always sure that she was going to get well. And so I accompanied her to many of her chemo treatments and stayed with her, and wanted to do things with her like, let's tell me about some of your family history. Let's write some things down. She says, no, I don't want to talk about anything like that, because she said, it makes me think I'm going to die. So she said, I don't want to talk about it. So we'd always wanted to put scrapbooks together for her children with pictures and everything, and she was busy gathering them all together when she felt up to it. But she didn't really want to work on them because she said, it makes me feel like I'm going to die. So she didn't want to address any of those things. She didn't want to write letters to her children. She didn't want to do any of those things because she was so sure that she would get well.
And she was in stage 4 of colon. She'd been diagnosed with colon cancer, and she had no idea that she was sick, correct?
Correct.
Married with 3 kids, 3 teenage kids. So what were her emotions that she went through once she determined that it wasn't going to work? Or in the beginning, let's talk about when she found out, when they first told her that she had cancer.
Well, she'd gone to the hospital herself because she'd been to the Instacare a couple of times for symptoms that she had that she wouldn't go away, and so she just didn't believe the doctors. They were telling her, well, just do this or just do that. It's kind of dismissing her with no real help. So she just felt there was something more wrong with her. So she took herself. Her husband had gone fishing, and she took herself over to the emergency and said, I just want to be checked over. And we got a call that afternoon with her just